Jake, you got a copy?
Go ahead.
I spy something orange.
I see a lot of orange things. There's a few hundred to your right.
I was talking about the shifter knob in the combine. Good try. Why is there trash out here?
There's a trash can.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the last day and last harvest video from Southern Iowa this year. Jake just about ate it. We are at the pumpkin patch. We are going to be harvesting the corn maze this year. Well, and I guess all the other corn here too. It rained a whole bunch, but I think we can carry it across the ground. We have some hidden stuff out there in the corn maze that I'm going to try and cut past to.
You need a sock?
You need a sock?
I don't need one.
You're the one with 4 kids that run around with that size foot. 3 kids running around with that size foot. One's not quite big enough for that. We'll also be talking about fungicide and what it did for us this year, plus maybe give you guys a little rundown of how the pumpkin patch turned out for us this year as well. I guess that means it's time to start to get to work. News, Hoot Barn fits a combine. You might be like, what the heck, corn maze, pumpkin patch? Yes, it just happens to be your first time here. For whatever reason, run a pumpkin patch. Kind of the agritourism business that my wife and I started 2 years ago. We have had a good time with it, but we've got a corn maze that we need to harvest. We can put corn back in the corn pit this year. It'll be interesting to see what the yield on the corn does this year. It's gonna be pretty good corn. It's tiled out, good ground. We'll be able to evaluate what the yield difference is from where my corn maze is to the rest of the field, and see how many bushels the corn maze costs me during a year. Whoops, forgot my glass cleaner. Those are rail tracks that we put big tile tubes on, and kids run in. Rushing on, head on, speed up. So we got in here, Jake's coming in. He's got issues with the tarp. Once it goes over, it wants to slide. I don't know how you're doing an electric tarp with no front arm.
Which remote was the auger?
First remote. Remote for the auger thing with you, and see if you can scurry up there and hold the thing back as you open it up. So, because it's just going over the hill and sliding. Bungee cord problems, huh? We'll work on that a little later. We got it open now. It's normal to have a random chair in your cornfield, right? With dolls on it. That's completely normal. Nothing abnormal about that. That's normal too. Small collection of inflatable mannequins. Yeah. What is the weirdest thing that you guys have found combining corn in your field? Last year I combined a sign. I did that. And I don't know if these technically count as the weirdest things that I've found in my field, because kind of put them there. The haunted maze, that is. I find that funny. He's gonna go get the chair in the pile of bodies. And there's the last thing I was looking for, a clown box. So with that, I'm going to send you guys back to me about how fungicide did for us this year. And when we're done with that, I'll come back and kind of tell you what my thoughts are on harvesting crisscrossed, applesauced, all over the place corn maze corn is. So we are now in what is a field that I sprayed with Miravis Neo. Miravis Neo is another product from Syngenta that we checked out this year. It's a couple of years now that we've looked at Miravis Neo. I've really liked it. What I like about Miravis Neo is it has 3 modes of action. I really do believe that it is probably the top of the line fungicide that you can put onto your crop. Tar spot, what would rob corn yields around here? I don't think we had a lot of disease come in this year. Well, this is the middle of November now, and look at how well these plants are standing. But just what I've been in this corn, this is amazing. Like, I don't have lodging happening. Harvestability is fantastic. So even without an immense amount of disease pressure this year, this is awesome. And this is one of the reasons that I firmly believe that when you do come in and spray, and if you guys do remember, we sprayed this with the Haggy at VT. That's really the timing that I think, and what the industry kind of thinks is the perfect timing to come in here and then make your application. With the long period of coverage with the Miravis Neo, you don't really need to come back with another application, but these plants stayed healthy. And if you remember, we checked in on the plants after a short period of time when we did spray that Miravis Neo. That's all in this video right here. So guys, we are about 2 weeks since our actual last application, or our application on the corn here with Miravis Neo. We have chosen to use Miravis Neo because it has 3 modes of action. One of them is, well, the big one's the Adepidin technology, which is an SDHI. You could just see how healthy these were. These plants pollinated really, really well. That grain fill is excellent. Year 2 with Miravis Neo is looking really good. I unfortunately did not do a side-by-side trial for you guys this year in either corn or soybeans to be able to actually give you a really good yield return kind of report. But I also still do believe that you don't add yield by spraying your fungicide. What you're doing is just protecting the yield potential that you do have in your crop. Corn, I'm thinking that looked really good. On soybeans this year, what did we see? Well, our soybeans, again, they stayed really darn healthy. The plants stayed clean, spraying your fungicide with your sprayer, being able to throw down a lot of volume of water or carrier on top of that. And your timing when you're doing it yourself continues to be the right mode of action. So for us, I continue to be a believer in putting fungicide onto your corn, at least for the standability. And most people say for the standability for harvest. And if you happen to run a pumpkin patch, you might think, well, the standability so that your corn maze is still standing like a corn maze, but I guess I've got a special situation for that. So, information about Miravis Neo, I'd recommend it to consider looking at for your fungicide next year. It's been a good performer. So, information down in the description. Thank you to Syngenta for partnering us to check out Miravis Neo this year. And let's get back to work. We got a pause in here. We are in the shop here today. Harvest is done. At that point in time in the video, I could not give you a true yield insight. And I still can't give you a yield insight when it comes to, I guess, saying like a check versus applied. I can't give you one of those this year because, like I said earlier in the clip, that I didn't do one of those. So, but what I can tell you now that harvest is done, the fields that applied Miravis Neo to, in terms of if you look at every farm across the entire farm, the fields that were applied with Miravis Neo were at the top of the list. So this year, corn with a fungicide application came in with some of the highest field averages, especially when you're going to be rolling into some corn like you guys will be seeing here shortly. Okay, now back to work. This tarp, you go click and it does it. Maybe that's the secret. I don't know. That tarp's being a pain in my butt. But we're back here this morning. Jake and I only picked one load last night. Then we'll try and get this finished here today. Sorry. I wear these things to listen to podcasts, but more or less to be able to talk on the phone and hear somebody and still use my hands. That's why I wear these headphones instead of like one of them single ones. I feel like I wouldn't be able to like hear that well, but I don't know. People don't have a hard time hearing me when there's no mic, so I guess I talk loud. We got one semi picked last night. And we're starting on the next ones. When you load these trucks today, you're gonna be going over the tarp. So here, stand back here further. There you go. Can't really pile it that high, otherwise you'll just slide it off into the grass, okay? This corn's a little bit wet, which it's going into a dryer bin, into my dad's dryer bin actually. So he didn't use it, so I'm gonna put stuff in there. This corn, which is gonna work out good because about the corn that I could have put it into smaller farm bins, but then we would have a little muddy going into those. That's an issue with those small farm bins. Oh, it's got a brush this morning. We got like 10 acres left here. Since it's like 17%, I was gonna try and burn a little bit of propane, try and push a little bit of moisture out of there, and that just got a new fan and burner put onto it, and it hasn't been ran, so it would be good to make sure that it does run, I guess. So running, which apparently that bin will take out 900 points per hour that it burns, and so which means that if I want to take it to 16% and then run the fans, probably get it down to that 15.5 mark or so, and see what happens from there, which means that I'd only have to run it for like 16, 17 hours. But we went to turn the stirrator on, and the stirrator just got a broken wire, so stirrator problems. So that might be in this video if my dad doesn't just go fix it. But I've got to go to something at 10 o'clock today, or leave it or something at 10 o'clock today, so we should be able to get this close to done, and then I'll help the rest of the way, if that makes any sense at all. Okay, so some of you, rightfully so, were very curious about what it looks like to harvest a corn maze of corn. Right there is one of the paths. You can easily see where that is. But it's really not so bad. You just can't go too fast because you end up bringing quite a bit more plant matter into the combine. So I go quite a bit slower. Sorry, hand got in the way there. But I can still see the rows. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's a row, there's a row, there's a row, there's a row. So I just go down what these would be the north and south rows are, and it really flexes into the head pretty darn good. Now, like I said, it brings in a little more plant than normal, but it flows in good. I'm not running it over, you know, I'm not losing a whole bunch out onto the ground through the head. It's just slow and kind of looks like a mess, but realistically it does fine. The yields, I'd say there's probably right now, from what we did over there, which you guys will see that yield here in a second, yeah, I'd say there's probably a 50 bushel an acre drag going or more going through where the maize is right now, but that's because there's a whole lot of pass. This crisscrossing, I really don't think there's actually a yield drag on that. I really don't. For a little while, I thought maybe going at like an angle to this corn's perfectly planted north and south and east and west, so like doing a northwest type of like angle to it would be the thing to do, but this is the ticket. Stay on the rows of one of them, because you have to, basically the only time that it really like pushes corn over is when the snout hits a stalk and pushes it away. And with the like two directional deal, you really, there's like rarely a stalk that it can't just flex a little bit out of the way and not push it over. And on the just regular corn in the field, we're not quite up to the tile part, but it's going over hill. Pretty dang good corn. and I totally forgot to leave the rows that I needed to leave out there. But it's getting up there. I saw some like 280. I've yet to see 300 bushels on my yield monitor. One of these days I might be able to see that, but we'll take that. That's some pretty rock solid corn right there. And we're doing a calibration down here to see how accurate that actually is. I think it's pretty darn accurate. We're actually running a little low there, 840 in my calibration. So basically it thought we had 20,600. We had 20,800. We were 1% low. So 1% on 260 is like 3 bushels, 1.5, 2 bushels, yeah, somewhere around there. So it's calibrated. Good to know that it stayed realistically calibrated, and if anything was low.
I'm over here at the bins. Scott and I got the stirrator going in the bin. Now I'm working on getting the high-V truck unloaded from the load we had last night. Getting it unloaded, then I got the peat to unload. Get this truck backed up, start unloading the front hopper. But get the peat unloaded and we'll head back to the patch. So we'll open up the hopper. GoPro's definitely not going to pick it up, but right over there, over in the bean field, there's a bald eagle sitting there watching as we finish up the last couple rounds of this cornfield.
Got a little bald eagle action coming in. See if we can chase out a rabbit for it. Feed America in 2 ways.
We're here at the patch. Bunch of pumpkins.
We did it. We fed America. It got a rabbit. Pretty darn cool.
When there's a storm raging in your soul, you gotta thank God that you're still growing old. If them demons you're fighting won't go away, drop on your knees and pray. Life can get hard sometimes, I know. You gotta get up and walk the straight and narrow. When they're chasing you down with an old bloodhound and you're running through the fields for your life, you gotta get up, son, I know they're gunning for you. Don't let the thoughts of yesterday crowd out the visions of today. Don't let your past define your name. We will all be judged the same someday. Life can get hard sometimes, I know. You gotta get up and walk the straight and narrow. when they're chasing you down with an old bloodhound and you're running through the fields for your life. You gotta get up, son, I know they're gunning for you.
How cool is that? And even cooler is right there is the end of the 2024 crop. Bingo. Oh, that's the wrong button. I think I'd have that figured out by the end of the season, but I didn't. But one of the questions is what happened at the pumpkin patch this year. So this year, compared to last year, we basically doubled our attendance. So that was awesome. We also had some fantastic weather for the pumpkin patch season this year. So I don't know how much of that played a role into it, but the reviews came in good. So kind of excited to see how the growth maybe that happens next year. We had more than, like, our goal was always to have like somewhere around 4,000 visitors, and we broke our goal this year. So we broke our goal in 2 years, kind of for the business plan of the pumpkin patch. So that's pretty awesome. It'll be kind of interesting to see where maybe next year's attendance and then maybe year 4's attendance maybe comes to kind of settle in where our attendance on a normal year might be. Well, we've got a little bit of issue here the next day, and that is well, I'll go show you. So here's what we got. Here's what the kids would say. We're blessed fam today. The corn in here got too high in one spot and tripped out the stirrators. So really was hoping it'd be a little more level than that. So you guys are ready to hear some fat man breathing. We got we've got to scoop some corn away from the stirrators because they're basically little augers. For the people that don't know, there's 3 of them right here. This is on a trolley that goes in and out slowly, like definitely over like revolutions, and then it goes slowly around the outside of the bend on that track right there. And with that, it like kind of mixes or stirs the corn as you dry it. So
Don't it bring the corn?
It pulls it up, yeah.
It pulls it up.
And then so it pulls the middle up, and then everything funnels into that spot. So that's how it does it. So there's room over there, so it's like we've just got a heavier spot right here, so we can throw it towards somewhere, and then hopefully turn the stirrator back on, and it kind of levels itself back out. I am really just about sick of GoPros. I mean, they just keep dying. That thing right there says it has 50 some odd percent. The last battery, so 50 some odd percent. So you guys have missed a lot of cool clips this year because it's dead GoPro batteries that shouldn't have been dead. So we're just back spinning these a little bit so they get a chance to start up when we kick the power on. Does that one feel tighter than the other ones? Yeah. Jake did this on purpose so he could leave today with his pockets full of corn as a little bit of a bonus.
I ain't got nothing to feed it to anymore.
There we go. All right, I think that's probably good. Is that on? It didn't turn on. Oh, wait, hold on. We're back in action. You guys can see that, but like the stirrator really pulls the corn up from the level that it is to where it's at, and it basically tripped out the motor. And then so also this bin got a new, I think it's considered a low temp burner on it. It burns definitely not as hot as the other one, but it maybe could get jazzed up a little bit. I think the old fan, which was a centrifugal fan, which you guys won't even be able to hear me standing right here. So now it's a low temp burner, and it was burning somewhere in the neighborhood of like, I think 140 degrees or something like that. And this one now was burning like 100 degrees, which I think it can go up to like 120. I had 17% corn in there, so we ran it for basically 8 hours yesterday. Threw some heat into that corn. We'll go see what the moisture is. Look at that high-tech deal right there, bud. All right, take them with you and go get yourself a sample for me. $17.7. That went the wrong way, bud. But on the flip side of it, I think that moisture's being pushed upwards. So, because the loads that we took in were like 17 something. So we'll let it work its way out for 24 hours or so. And if I remember to, by the time this video is out, we'll retest it here and let you know at the end of the video on how this turned out. Well, I don't think these two trucks are going to fit into that bin, so brought them to Cargill, get rid of them. Wet 17% corn kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So that's where we're going to end harvest. I got a couple of custom jobs that I might go do. Don't know if we'll do videos on those, but we'll pick back up with you doing some land improvement projects here really shortly. So see you guys in the next one. Still a little wet, but that's the first load out of there. It's drier though, so not by a lot, but first load out, probably got 16% corn in that bin.